This just in, the acclaimed roller coaster podcast known as Frenemies, co-hosted by Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein, has suddenly shut down due to a heated episodic argument between the podcasters, and the drama cuts into a two-part pathway. It's Andy from What's Trending, and apparently this Frenemies podcast is getting to be a bigger ordeal than anyone would have thought. And the podcast split is very new and very recent, but we'll tell you everything that you need to know of what has happened so far. Now, as a recap, on June 8th, Trisha recently posted this video claiming that she is stepping down from the podcast known as Frenemies over an explosive argument just before the newly appointed podcast episode was set to release. In a video recently published by Trisha, she claimed that Ethan Klein mentions that the podcast production crew was unhappy with them for their behavior regarding a production. The dispute revolved around how Klein chooses to spend the revenue about the production and Trisha's debate about potentially hiring a new production crew.
And then last night, of course, I talked to Ethan and, he was saying the crew is really upset with me and that they didn't want to film the vlog today. And I respect that and I respect him. I want to say first and foremost that the 5% thing and Ethan getting like 100% of the highlights, like that's not an issue. The money is not the issue.
Now, a lot of fans were obviously disappointed when they heard Trisha was not going to be a part of it anymore. But the unsettling part is how and why this erupted in the first place. In the most recent episode of Frenemies, episode 39, Trisha and Ethan began talking about the question and answer segment of the podcast, particularly when Trisha started talking about violence against trans people. This was when Klein interrupted her by offering a piece of pizza to an off-camera crew member. Trisha took slight offense to this and addressed the issue.
And so, like, watching it, I was just like, holy. And, like, Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal said Heath Ledger refused to make, like, gay jokes about it, like, during the Oscars. And I don't know.
Is there a third pizza?
You're so not good about this. Okay, let's go to your stupid.
Make sure that
I don't like
pizza.
this segment. Just for the record, fan advice is a stupid segment.
Why?
But we can do it. It's so dumb. What's the point?
And this actually erupted a large 10-minute back and forth about how Trisha apparently doesn't contribute enough to the podcast, the back and forth of recycled segments on the show, and it just kept going on and on and on. Everyone really wanted to know what was the premise behind it.
Ethan, I promise you, this is really is gaslighting. I go to a lot of therapy right now, and this really is. When I say I'm not angry, I'm not. I'm like just trying to tell you that you're like, oh, we do everything for the show, and I'm like saying it's not always good. I'm not angry. If I was angry, I would like leave or something, but I'm not. But you telling me I'm angry
or something? You're not
I'm
upset
not.
or angry? Okay, all right.
But it is like frustrating when you think you do all this work and like think, oh, we're doing all this great stuff, and it's like, it's not that great sometimes.
Now in that clip we just showed you, yeah, Trisha said it's not about the money, it's about other things, and that's where it just gets worse and worse and worse.
The budget for paying the crew, that's what you told me. You take highlights, you take 5% to pay the crew. So why don't I get any input on the crew or what we do?
These are employees of our
So why are you taking
company.
highlights and 5% of Frenemies? You told me that it was to pay them, that they could be working.
For production costs.
Of course, Ethan responds about who's doing what, who's getting paid on the podcast, why Trisha's involved in the first place, and it just becomes this gaslighting issue of who's doing what and why to each other.
And I feel like you're gaslighting me, to be honest, saying that you're not like frustrated about
But
that.
I'm not.
Because it really is a source of like every time something comes up where it's like, I hired somebody or this, that, and like, oh, you don't do that much on the show.
I'm bringing attention to it. I'm not upset. I would text you. I would tell you if I was.
It always comes down to, oh, you get this extra 5%.
And of course, this seemed to be a very emotional impact towards Trisha, which is when the show was last seen on air.
All right, Ethan, I'm asking to end this. I'm asking
you. can leave anytime, Trisha.
But then you're making this thing where we're not ending the show and you get to sit here and be like, okay, well, that just happened and you're eating pizza and then
I will end the show the minute you walk off the
All right, so let's just end it, please. Thank you guys for watching. And I don't want it to be a thing where you're just sitting here eating pizza and you become a meme.
So then I'll say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
After Trisha's announcement about the video, she made some comments about the aftermath of the situation, which should not have entirely been her fault, but rather to be a mutual understanding of what was needed to be addressed on the show. On the other hand, Ethan posted his input on the issue after Trisha addressed on the show that maybe hiring a new crew was the right move.
This is where maybe I fucked up, okay? It was like, listen, Trisha wants to hire a new crew. I was just being transparent with them. I was like, Trisha wants to hire a new crew. Obviously, that wasn't something I was going to commit to, but I was just like, I don't know what to do about this because this seems like it's not going to go anywhere.
Trisha especially wanted to make it clear from her standpoint, saying, I respect that I made him uncomfortable. I acknowledge it, and I'm truly sorry to those things that happened. I thought it was banter. But the minute I mentioned something that made me uncomfortable, which I did numerous times on the show, I'm this manipulative who should stop talking. In some of her more tweets, she's even commented about how Ethan has made more sexual comments that made her more and more uncomfortable, but fans are thinking that overall she has no place to speak about this when they revealed many clips of her uncomfortably speaking towards Ethan on the show. So overall, don't know really what side you want to take on this. If the production crew is a conversation that is just the tip of the iceberg, if there's more to it. It seems like overall there is a bigger story here, but we'll keep you updated with everything at whatstrending.com. Follow me at Andy Lalwani for more Trisha Paytas news and everything, I guess, of the sort. But we'll see you very soon.